Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to yet another TAAS business conversation. And today we have a very renowned guest, a very interesting topic, and something we are going to learn a lot from, and that is how to prepare your business for the digital economy. Now, most of us don't seriously understand what the digital economy is or how to position in it, talk less of how to prepare our business for it. And as we're about to have our tech summit this month, we felt it was important that you seriously understand the digital economy. And we brought a very renowned guest. But before we go further in it, like it's our culture at the Association of African Startup, we'll start with a word of prayer. I'll read his profile and then I'll add him up to the stage. So just join me for a short prayer. Our Father and our God, we thank you, ancient of days, we worship you. I am that I am, we give you glory. We ascribe all glory, all honor, and adoration to your name. Lord, we ask that you take control of our life today. We ask, Lord, that you speak through the speakers, Lord. And we ask that for everybody that will partake of it, Lord, they will get something tangible, something that they can action right now. In Jesus' name we have prayed. Amen. Amen. So our guest today is Dr. Daniel Asare-Kyei. I seriously apologize if I didn't get the pronunciation correctly. Mr. Daniel is an agricultural economist, technologist, geoinformation scientist, and entrepreneur. His passion is to bridge the gap between the realities of people living in the last mile communities and technological innovations. He has spent the last 20 years working with partners in many technological driven initiatives. As the CEO and shareholder of Esoko, he has led one of Africa's largest agri-tech providers to navigate through a maze of digital products and developed several large innovations for the African digital ecosystem. As a serial entrepreneur, he has founded two other agri businesses, Erin Edinka Frontiers Limited, that runs integrated poultry enterprise, and Erukia Farms Limited, a company specializing in plantation crops and developing low-cost technologies enabled by AI for fruits and vegetable processing. Then Daniel has just founded two other startups, Sika Fields, a fourth industrial revolution enterprise that seeks to integrate thousands of Africa smallholder farmers into global carbon credit business and open trade, a revolutionary platform that combines the powers of traditional e-commerce and affiliate marketing to create wealth for African urban populations. Daniel is a fellow for the United Nations University and the Unreasonable Group, a recipient of the 2020 Schwab Foundation for Social Entrepreneurship of the Year award. He has a doctorate degree in agricultural economics from the University of Bonn, German, a double major degree in geoinformation science from the University of Twente, the Netherlands, and a first-class bachelor's in agricultural economics from Ghana's KNUST. And today he's going to be joining us to speak on this. It's really a honor. It's a honor to have you, sir. Thank you so much for doing this with us today. On behalf of executives and tasks, we are saying thank you so much, sir. Thank you. I'm just reading your profile. I am like, yes, he is somebody that has seriously tapped into the digital economy and is creating wealth for himself and not just himself, for other entrepreneurs. Thank you so much, sir, for doing this with us. So quickly, we'll just ask the very first question, right? What does a digital economy mean and how does it impact revenue? Thank you so much, sir.
Right, thank you so much, Abiola, for having me. And just a bit of correction on
Sir,
my
is that
name.
your
So,
mic is muted?
is it better now? Is it better?
I can't really hear you, sir.
Oh, okay. Let me see because I can hear you loud and clear.
Are you using an earpiece, sir? I think that um might be the cause for the audio. Okay, you can hear him clearly. Okay, the audience is saying they can hear you clearly. That's fine, sir. Okay, so
Okay,
what does
okay,
a
very
digital
well. You can hear me.
economy
That's good.
mean?
Right. Thank you so much for having me, Abiola. Yes, and just a bit of correction on my name. So my name is pronounced Daniel Asare-Kyei. And yes, so that's just the correct pronunciation. Thank you so much for having me, and I'm very happy to be part of this conversation to share our ideas and knowledge about how actually business can grow the digital economy space on the African continent. So back to the question that you asked about what does digital economy mean. So digital economy essentially means taking every aspect of your business and economy organization into the digital space. Right. So let's take for example an SME that operates in Africa. As you all know, SMEs are the backbone of every nation in terms of job creation, in terms of economic opportunity for young people. A typical SME may have the following departments or business segments. So one, they could have an HR and administration department. They could have a finance department. They may have sales and marketing department. They may have a technology engineering department, depending on whether the company is involved in technology-related stuff. Now, each of these departments has a routine activities that can be digitized. So unlike
Mm,
international economic systems where these activities are done on paper and through extensive manual processes, in a fully digitized economy that are run by companies, these mundane activities are migrated onto the digital space, where they can
mm,
allow activity to be somehow automated. So that's essentially what digital economy really means. So migrating all things that you need to do on paper, all things that you need to do manually into a digital that allow you to be able to share that report or that output to people everywhere in the world really is what you're talking about digital economy. So if you take the example that I quoted above of a business that department that are fully digitized, you may have an HR and administrative department. Some of the things that they can do include an HR software for managing employees, leave management, remote or office work management, employee compensation system, promotions, performance assessment, and so on and so forth. So these are all things that normally a company would do. That typically in the traditional system, they will do it on paper, they will do it manually. But then once the business is fully digital, these activities can now be done in the digital space. I mean, if you
mm,
take a finance department of any business, the finance department is mainly responsible for keeping records and proper accounting. Right. While the company is fully digital, this process can be done using softwares like
mhm,
QuickBooks, like SAP. Even in Africa, mobile money, which was invented, by the way, in Africa, all these things that allow people to receive money and make payments are all things or example that could be said of a company that is doing full digital, running full digital economic system. Now, this company may be doing operations. So if you take operations like project management, for instance, where project activities are planned, implemented, and shared across multiple teams in different locations. So once a business is running a digital economic system, even its own operations that they do on day-to-day basis cannot be digital. They cannot be done in such a way that people everywhere, let's say you have workers in Nigeria, some in Ghana, some in South Africa, if you have a project management system that you use, actually every project you do can become visible to any team member who may be operating elsewhere from the company's office. So there are a lot of things that companies can do. I mean, you talk about sales and marketing. Sales and marketing, when a fully digital economy can use digital tools to generate leads, to manage leads, to close and do lead closures. Of course, communication, website management, social media accounts management, all these things that can be done in the digital economic space. Another example is the technology department of a company. I mean, where relevant systems for managing softwares are in place, companies can actually do product management, software development. They can do their daily stand-ups, they can do their product and design meeting, all in a completed digitized environment that allow them to be able to share their work and share teams and ideas remotely. So these are just examples of how a company can actually go digital. Now, the question I was asking about how whether this impact revenue. So look, it depends on how a company adapt the system and use them to operationalize its daily activities. Its
mm,
revenue can be maximized. For example, a company that routinely uses these systems may become more efficient in managing people, in managing time, in managing their budget, and therefore can generate more revenue from related resources. As I guess a company that is still steep in the traditional business environment. So these are just examples of how a company can adopt digital systems and move to the digital space. Right.
Thank you so much, sir. I love how you simplified it. It's more about how you take the digital economy simply means what is running now, but in the digital space, and you can make a lot of money in it. So our next question, sir, is because most times people hear this digital economy, they hear about it a lot. Everybody thinks they understand it, but they seriously don't even understand it. So please, how is this different from the traditional economy?
Yeah, so as I explained above, the digital economy is fundamentally different from a traditional economy in many respects. So, for instance, when it comes to efficiency, speed, and then even generating results in business environment, they are two different things. Let me give you one good example for you to how to differentiate between digital economy and traditional. So let's say you go to any business environment and then you enter the office, you see stacks and stacks of paper forms that are on bookshelves. I mean, clear that that business is still operating in a very deep traditional sense, right? And so, normally in a fully digital business environment, you don't see those kind of paper forms already everywhere. I mean, typically, the most African public sector organization, you go to the office and you see all kinds of forms, all kinds of paper forms that have been later carted on the table, later on the floor, and on bookshelves. I mean, you ask yourself, how do they even find something? If they need to identify any file, they need to find anything. How can they realistically identify that particular thing they're looking for on time? And so this kind of system actually clearly tells that this organization is still steep in the traditional way of doing things. And this, of course, has its long overdue. Right.
Thank you so much, sir, for that explanation. So, what do you think, or what mindset do you think African business owners need to have to embrace or grow or discard for this digital economy?
Right. So, first of all, African businesses need to know that you cannot win into this competitive business landscape without integration of the full digital systems. I mean, the traditional way of doing things have long outlived its usefulness. So, as a student of African history, let me just take a bit of diversion to some historical antecedents that have largely influenced and shaped the way our current global economic system and why Africa is still where we are today. Now, if you look at history, when human beings evolved some 12,000 years ago in the East African Rift Valley region, mankind used to do what you call the hunter-gathering. So in this Stone Age, people used to roam the forest, scavenging the forest floors and trees for food. Well, of course, this limited productivity and kept populations under control. With time, our ancestors began domesticating some of the plants and animals from the wild and kept them around the camps where they used to live. This gradual domestication process of plants and animals led to the first revolution on the earth, what you call the agrarian revolution. Now, the agricultural revolution changed the way you live dramatically. Bands of people that used to live in isolation in caves and mountain tops and along the water bodies began living together, paving the way for the formation of large chiefdoms, communities, ethnic groups, and subsequently nations and empires. The unprecedented availability of food led to massive population growth. Well, it must be mentioned that this agrarian revolution was invented by Africans and spread to the rest of the world by Africans. So sometimes when people say, oh, Africa has not contributed anything to population growth, to civilization, that is just false. I mean, this first revolution that I just described was largely invented in Africa and spread to the rest of the world by Africa. Of course, there was a fundamental weakness in this technology, this revolution. And the weakness was that it relied heavily on the technology that was available at that time, that 12,000 years ago. At that time, the technology that was widespread was the use of iron in making tools like as machetes, cutlasses, and so on and so forth. So that was what the people then at the time was using to now do the first revolution that happened on the face of the earth. Now, since then, the world has gone on to usher in 3 other revolutions. The first industrial revolution, which was characterized by mechanization and steam power in 1784. And then there's a second one that happened in the year 1870, which was characterized by mass production, electrical energy, and then the rest of the industrial product we saw that you saw at that time. And then you have what they call the third industrial revolution, which was marked by automation, computers, and electronics in 1969. And currently, as we speak, you have what we call the fourth industrial revolution, which is currently happening. And this is marked by digitalization. So we're talking about digital economy, artificial intelligence, IoT, and the broader information technology space. The sad truth is that Africa has failed, basically, or we failed to participate in the second industrial revolution that actually shaped the world. And that's where we still are where we are now today. Right. The good news is that we can practically leapfrog all the preceding revolutions that we failed to adopt, and then to usher in an unprecedented level of development and progress. This, of course, can only be done when our companies are able to fully adopt the digital economy and join the race of massive research and development currently going on in the field of AI and digitalization. So if you look at this history, what I'm talking about now, we cannot keep doing what you're doing now and expect a different results. If you really want to catch up the rest of the world, we got to digitize our business operation. We got to not only even our business, but also the entire community, the entire economy that you find ourselves, we need to go digital. I mean, for instance, if you go to many countries in Africa, a single the ID systems don't even work. If a simple address system cannot even work. So if somebody wants to show you where they live, they go to direct you to go to the place, take a trotro or take whatever public transport they may be, and they ask people. I mean, these things got to change. I mean, this is where we consider the economic system is still operating in a pure traditional system and has not still not migrated into a digital space. So really, if you want to really catch up the rest of the world, you've got to find a way to leapfrog some of this that you've seen happening in the rest of the world and able to do it differently. So yes, we got to change. We got to change our mindset. African business think that sometimes this is also very expensive, and so they don't want to try. They don't want to start. Now you cannot continue to do that if you want to really, really be competitive in today's world. So that's what I think the world needs to change. African business needs to change that. You need to find a way of doing things, and that way of doing things is going digital, and everything that you do in your business. Right? I hope I've not spoken too much about this question, but this is really very exciting. That really excites me in terms of how do you really support companies in Africa, and for that matter, businesses that operate in Africa, to really change their mindset and go into a digital, into the full digital space.
Oh, I love
Right.
it.
Thank you.
I love it, sir, how you explained all the revolutions that we have gone through. Because I remember sometime, was it last year, when we had our last tech summit and we talked about simplifying AI and blockchain technology for business owners. And then I had the opportunity to have a one-on-one with a particular African business owner. And her response was, I don't think AI is for everybody. It's just for some selected few people that probably want to be into tech. And I was like, that's the wrong mindset to have. If you want to seriously trade globally, if you seriously want to build wealth, you need to think about the digital space. It is not just only for tech people. Everybody has a role to play when it comes to technology. And I love how you explained it. So no, sir, you did not go too far. It's just the passion. It's the passion, and we love that. You didn't go too
Right.
far.
Right.
This is something that even after now, it's a resource. So you can always go back, check it, understand, and how to position yourself well. And that will take us to our next question, sir. What parameters should business owners put in place to build their business in the digital space? Because we understand that some of us are just coming into this in Africa. It's not that we really understand. So what parameters do you suggest that we put in place or have to be able to build businesses in the digital space, sir?
Yeah, right. And so I think it's quite simple. I mean, what first of all you need to do is to divide or segment your business to various departments. If you don't already have that kind of thing clearly demarcated in your business. So, for instance, if you are running in a business, you got to have several departments. You need to that makes you more structured and more efficient. So, you got to have your sales and marketing department. You got to have your HR administration department. You got to have your finance department. So, once you have done that, then you can look out for tools that are available that each department can use, because one tool cannot be used, one digital tool cannot be used across the entire business chain. Right. So once the business is structured in that way, Then you look at for if I talk about HR, what HR processes can we automate? Can we digital? Can we actually move to the digital space? If either to your team members or your employees are asking for leave by email or by just telling you they're going to the next boss and they're like, I want to go on leave. Now, can just go into a platform and just request for a leave. And that leave information goes to the HR manager. She looks at it and they say, okay, this is approved or this may not be approved. So all this is nothing that they need to do. So we have to have that structure in place. I mean, that's what you call formalizing your business. The business needs to be formalized in such a way that anybody who comes to you actually knows what you are doing. And you can just show just on a computer screen everything that you are doing at the business. So I think the first thing that people need to do is segment the business into departments or into units. That can be well monitored, that can be well measured. And then there are tools that you can easily use. So, of course, if you are talking about accounting tools, there are several tools that you can use that allows you to manage all your accounting records easily. You can use some are even for free. QuickBooks are for free. There are several others that you can just basically download from the web and just start using it and just migrating all your cash vouchers and your payments with everything onto that platform. If you're talking about operations, if you are looking at, let's say, a company that's involved in managing projects in the field, for instance, you should be able to now know how many people you have on the project, how much budget you have for the project, what time you have to spend or to actually finish that project. And all of this information can be entered onto a simple project management tool that allows you, even as a project owner or a business owner, to see what is happening on the fly. So just open a computer screen and just on the snapshot, you can see everything that's happening across your company. I mean, without any of these tools available, it's going to be difficult for you to actually even thrive. So we can not even know. Let's say you have a business that's running logistics. You have multiple chains of stores across the country, and you want to know how much sales each of them are making in a day. Of course, you cannot be calling each of them on the phone every day and asking them how much sales did you make. I mean, that's very, very inefficient way of doing things, right? So you can easily have a platform that each of these shops can basically update their sales records for that day. And so at the end of the day, you can sit back in your office and just go through that system and be able to give a report on how far you've gone for that particular day. Right, so this is what I think business need to start with. There are tools that you can use to talk about sales and marketing. There are AI tools now available that you can easily use to generate leads and to do your sales and marketing. And so I like the fact that you said that some companies think that AI is not even for everyone. That is indeed a fallacy, right? AI is for everybody. It's for students, it's for teachers, it's for business owners, it's for everyone that you want to do. And if you really take that stand that, okay, oh, look, for me, I'm just a small business living in a small corner in Africa. I may not necessarily have usefulness for any AI tool. That is wrong. If you do that before you realize, some companies have taken you over and then your business no longer can exist. So these are just practical steps that I think company needs to take. Just to recap the point I made. One, they need to segment their business to departments or units. That allows them to manage their money in a much more efficient and seamless way. Right. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I love how you simplified it. Take your business, segment it, and then look for how you can pull that, make that automate that rather, and then you start going on and on. Start gradually. Don't take it as and be overwhelmed about it first. It's something very easy to do. Now, when it comes to the digital space, the only thing that most business owners know that is about digital space is the social media. The very first thing when you tell a business owner that oh, move your business to this digital space, the very first thing they think about is social media. So let us even just think about it today. How does the social media contribute to the digital economy? That's our next question, sir.
Right. So yes, I mean yes. So that's actually wrong. So social media is not just a digital economy is not just about social media. Social media is just one way of actually taking your business to digital space. Now, the example that I gave about the fact that you can segment the business, have your accounting department, your HR department, your finance department, operating, all of them having their own digital tool that they are using. Of course, social media is just one way that people can use. For example, like WhatsApp, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. All of these are increasingly being used by business to generate leads, undertake market research, and amplify the stories of the company. So One effective way of really using social media is to amplify your story, to let people know what your company really, really does. And that's what, for me, is very, very fundamental. If companies want to actually go into a digital space, you can begin by just using social media to tell your story. Hey, what do you do? Updating the public about every day what your company is involved in. If you are into selling, you're into manufacturing, putting out products and images of what you are producing every day. People come to visit you in your office, you have pictures and videos taken, put them onto your social media handles, and that will keep your business in the constant minds of people all the time. Right. So that is just one way of actually using social media. I mean, but then of course, business needs to be also very, very reasonable and efficient in their use of social media. I mean, I use the word reasonable because these tools, if not checked and used reasonably, can also easily become counterproductive. When you leave social media in the hands of young people who basically have nothing to do, you have a very young sales team, for instance, and then you tell them to use social media so they come to work in that day, and all they will do will be Facebooking, or be Instagram, or using Twitter, or using TikTok. So you have to find a way to be able to make sure that people are using the social media platforms in a much more reasonable, efficient, and accountable way. So yes, social media is just not just digital space, just one of the two that are available that you can use to take your business to a digital environment. But then there are several other platforms that a business can actually also use to be able to do things in a much more efficient and better way.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. I love that last part that you said that if people are not really careful about it, they can use the social media platform wrongly. And so now in Africa, or let's say even in Nigeria, for example, there has been the clamor for social media regulation, and people have been against it. So our question is, most business owners in Africa are against social media regulation. Now, how does this affect monetization in digital space? Or let's even start with, most people don't even understand what government is trying to do by social media regularization. They just feel it's not about them having freedom of speech. I think that, I don't know, that mindset, there is something wrong about that mindset. So they just feel if they don't have their own say, they cannot make money. So if you can shed more light on these two aspects, we would love that. Thank you so much.
Right, thanks, Abiola. Right. So, I mean, the truth is that some of the most progressive countries in the world today have regretted the use of social media. I mean, some of the most possible, if you take countries like United Arab Emirates, and popularly people call it Dubai. I mean, if you take Singapore, you take China, these countries have massive regulations on the use of social media. Right. And so we cannot, as Africa, just sit and say, oh, let's do the free for all policy, let's not regulate it. People, I mean, that cannot really be scary, cannot way. You can indeed learn from these countries. Where regulated media landscape is a prerequisite for monetization. If you want to monetize social media revenue, for instance, you cannot monetize what you don't know or what you don't have access to. I mean, there's no way you can actually even know how much revenue is being generated in the social media landscape. How do you monetize it in the first place? So I think we really need to have that deeper conversation around how do you regulate the use of social media platform. We have to guard against excessive regulation. We can take us to the realms of unwarranted censorship of content and free speech. And that's what people are afraid of. So people think that if you regulate social media use, then people can no longer post what they want to post. People can no longer write what they want to write. People can no longer express themselves freely. Of course, those things are there, but that really happens in the environment where there's no democracy, where there is no dictatorship, where you have a democratic principles working. Indeed, you can regulate social media in a much more responsible way that allow everybody to be able to have a free of what they want to say. I mean, if you look at West Africa in particular, there's a lot of internet fraud. There's a lot of scamming. People really scamming and frauding people on social media landscape. This is happening because you don't have any regulations in place. People can just go in there unidentified. You cannot just see who is taking who is talking. When they can just do all kinds of things. Now, if you're able to have regulations in place, what you do basically is that you avoid all these things. If you go to so many kind, like the example that I mentioned, you cannot go online when you have not identified yourself. You cannot just say, you cannot even go to a hotel and log into the hotel Wi-Fi when you have not put in your name and your phone number. Right. And so these are things that allow everybody to know who is what online. I mean, the online space is a free for all kind of thing. And so things are happening that you cannot even identify who is behind what is happening. They basically all of us become at risk because anybody anywhere can just use their phone anonymously and begin to extort money from you. They begin to bribe you. They can do all kinds of things. So I believe that you got to have a way to regulate the social media. And like an example that I said, some of these countries, like I talked about, I was in this country just about 2 3 years ago, and they are heavily regulated. I mean, even in Singapore, where you think they are very progressive, social media is not just out there. People still have to find a way to regulate how people use social media. And I think we cannot be an exception as a continent, the only continent which does not have free social, or who do not have a restricted social media landscape. If you look at some of the geopolitics that's happening between, say, the US and China, for instance,
Mm,
the US is basically trying to protect their people from Chinese app, which they are supposedly think that they are basically stealing people's data. Of course, that's
mhm,
all kinds of ways of controlling or regulating the use of social media. And I think Africa cannot be an exception.
mm, mm. I love
Yeah.
that. I love that. I love that you had to explain that if we don't regularize social media, you seriously cannot effectively monetize it. And the reason why most people complain about this regularization of social media is that they feel they will not be able to monetize it, and that's a wrong mindset. And this is one of the things that hurts me the most when we talk to business owners in Africa. Most of us are very ignorant of some things. We don't really understand how some things work. We just make claims, right? Unfounded claims. We just think that because somebody has said A, B, C, D, and E is not going to work. Most times we need to study, we need to go back, we need to seriously understand, we need to ask questions. And this is why we have experts like Dr. Daniel come and explain things like this. It is not a problem if we have it. It will better help you to be able to make more money on the social media or the digital platform in a whole. So our last question, sir, is that what are the challenges of the digital economy in Africa and how can it be navigated?
Yeah, I think the first challenge really is the lack of appropriate regulation, as you just described. And so, this has led to exploitation by some criminal groups and that extort and defraud innocent people. Another challenge is also illiteracy in many African countries. So, in many countries in our part of the world, the literacy is still very, very high. But I always say
Mm,
that digital literacy is much higher. And so, where you go to most of rural communities, people are not able to basically use even a smartphone. Right, so that makes it very, very difficult to have a wide scale adoption and use of digital economic space, even for businesses. And so that's something
mm,
you got to find a way to overcome. So people are, we can access, like a farmer, for instance, when they even receive an SMS, they may not even know they have an SMS message on their phone. Somebody got to show to them, look, you have an SMS message. Right, so this is a thing that I think you got to, and there's also the issue of infrastructure.
mm,
How do we have digital infrastructure? I mean, most of our communities are still not connected into the internet. Most communities still don't have access to electricity to even charge their phones. Right. So all these things that do not enable efficient use of digital economic systems in Africa, you got to find a way to be able to solve them. Yeah.
mm, mm, Thank you so much, sir. I love that. I love that. There's one thing we are trying to do in TAAS, that is annually we are trying to help with digital literacy. So what we do is every year we gather experts and they come and teach us on a particular subject matter that has to do with the digital space and the digital economy. We learn about this. It's a journey. We don't believe it's a one-time thing. It's a journey. And this year we are going to be learning how to multiply your revenue using the digital space, like how to multiply, how to grow your revenue there. And it's something we are inviting everybody for. It's actually free, right? Or to help you with your digital literacy. So sir, before we call it a day, do you have anything you would love to share for African business owners that are on the live call now and then probably would watch this as a resource in the future as part of the digital space, or just an encouragement? Because I have seen from your profile that you have built a lot of businesses in the digital space. And I know one thing is that once you can get it right, to replicate it will be very easy. So if there is something you can just share so that we'll be able to encourage someone that is trying to do
Yeah.
this with. Yes, sir.
Yeah, right. Thank you, Abdullah, for that. So yes, I think we got to be motivated by we really have a system now that works. Right. I mean,
Mm,
unlike in those days where there was nothing, if you want to make a call, you may have to go and climb a tree to make a call. Now, in this day and age, it's so easy for us to communicate. Communication has become an instant thing. When you send a message, you expect somebody to respond to you within the same time. So you are
mm,
living a very clearly unprecedented times of development. That as businesses, you got to take advantage of digital space that is out there. It's not anything rocket science. It's difficult. You just have to find the right tool that's available. Some of them don't cost. So people think that it's expensive to digitize your operations. It's actually not. I mean, if you look at the cost of not digitizing your operations versus the cost of having to go digital, of course, it cannot be compared the two. Right? So I
exactly.
encourage people to really look at the positives and not look at first of all the cost. I understand that it's difficult to change. I mean, change is really, really something that people don't really want to go through. But then the only thing that is permanent now in this world is change. You got to find a way to change the way. We cannot expect a different result when we do the same thing over and over again. So please, we are business listening to us this afternoon. Please look at what you can do to digitize your business. Look at what you can do to actually monetize what you can do. For instance, when we started 16 years ago, we were developing a platform that connects farmers to digital services. And people thought, oh, how can you really use that? It's something that's possible. So you develop a platform that farmers could just ask for, say, if you're interested in the market price, for instance. Let's say you live in Abuja, you want to know the price of maize or rice in Lagos, you could test to our platform and they'll get an instant feedback on the price of maize or rice in Lagos market. And the
Wow.
target was farmers. And as you speak, you have 2 million farmers in 20 countries in Africa who are using
Wow.
this service to basically get access to information. And these are all digital tools that you so farmers can now be said of now having been properly integrated with the digital economic system. They can
Mm,
call in the call center and ask for any information on agriculture. They can call for information about weather forecast. They can call. I mean, anything that they want to know in agribusiness, that information is available by just calling it down a short code. And these are all things that you can easily do, incorporate in your business to be able to know what you're doing. Let's say you want to even do market research. Why do you send
mm,
people to the field with paper forms? Go to the field and do market research for me. Whereas you can just digitize that form onto a phone or a tablet. Send people out there to the field. They can easily collect data for you as you sit in your office. That data comes to your computer in real time. And the data can be analyzed. You can generate a report in graph and then share that report with your partners. So clearly, the digital environment is really, really, really very encouraging. I urge everyone to really consider how you can actually digitize your business operations and move your business to the next level. So thank you so
mm.
much for having me this afternoon. I'm very excited to be part of this conversation. I'm available if anybody wants to reach out to me later on for much more in-depth conversation. I'll be very happy to respond to them.
Thank you so much, sir. I strongly sense we are going to do more because just learning about what you are doing with that. So, if, for example, we have members that would want to understand how to price their agricultural product in another region now of Africa, we can reach out to you. That is so lovely, even with the weather forecast, so that they can plan their planting season and all that. We would want to partner with you. We would probably look at how we can go and talk about that later, and probably having you
Right.
some mentor in the agricultural side in TAAS. Thank you so much, sir. I really love that. It's really nice to have that somebody can help you with the pricing, so you are aware before you even enter this market to
Exactly.
understand how
Exactly.
profitable or not profitable, or what you can do with advice and all that. That is so beautiful.
Exactly.
Thank you, sir,
Yeah.
so much for the work you are doing in Africa. Africa is seriously blessed to have you. Thank you so
Right.
much.
Thank you so much.
On
Thank
behalf of
you.
TAS, want to say a very, very, very big thank you. We would reach out to you because this is a conversation, like we said, that we have to go further and bring up people, young business owners in it, so that they understand how to do it, so that Africa would be great economically. Thank you so much, sir. Have a
All right.
great
You're
day.
welcome. Thank you so much for having me. Have a good day then.
Yes,
All
sir.
right.
Thank you. Yes,
Bye
sir.
bye.
Wow. How was that conversation? I learned a lot. I learned a lot. And personally, I know that we are going to have him in TAS again, because imagine if you are an agri business owner, you want to go into the eastern region or the western region or the northern region, you have somebody that can help you with your pricing. That is so lovely. And he started it using technology. And so, like he said, what we want to do in our tech summit is to help with digital literacy. So we are going to teach you this year on how to leverage technology to multiply your revenue, to grow your revenue, and it's a free event. All you have to do is register to join TAAS, right? The event is happening on the 15th of June 2024 and is by 10 a.m. West African time. It's going to be a hybrid event. So you have to register to know which you would want to pick, whether you want to join us physically or you want to join us online, whichever you choose. And for the physical venue, it's going to be happening in Lagos, Nigeria. Whichever you choose, it's a free event. So you join us via www.taasafrica.org/registration. It should be under the video for this replay or of this discussion. So thank you so much, and we'll see you again next month. Have a great day.